Well, as 16 days of activism wraps up today, Father a Nation is changing the narrative, shifting from a focus on the victim to the focus on the perpetrator in order to identify why gender-based violence is happening and developing programs and interventions to prevent it from happening. Now, tell us some more about this initiative when I joined via Zoom by Craig Wilkinson, who's the founder and CEO of Father a Nation. A very good afternoon to you, Craig. Thank you so much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. Well, as a start, I mean, we've just finished commemorating 16 days of activism, and it's really on the backdrop of what actually seems to be escalating incidents of GBV. Where are we, and what's the point of commemorating days like this, these gender violence awareness campaigns like the 16 days campaign?
Well, I guess it's something that needs to be 365 days a year, not just 16 days. But one of the benefits of a 16 days is it does bring a spotlight on it. But I think we've reached the point where creating awareness is just not enough. We need to go way beyond just creating awareness. And I think that's the reason why we need to focus on why this is happening. Not just creating awareness, not just providing help for victims, although that's absolutely crucial, but focusing on why is it happening and what do we need to do to stop it in its tracks so that we don't have any victims.
So I'm very interested in your organization, in conversations that I've had in the past with organizations that are focusing on gender-based violence. And mostly, I must say, I'm generally speaking to women, and I'm speaking to women's organizations. So I'm quite glad that there is this, one of the organizations is really focusing on let's talk to the men. I mean, I know there's also hashtag not in my name, for example, but you really are focusing on bringing boys, men into the conversations. Let's talk about that importance, the importance of including men, especially young men, in these particular campaigns.
Yes. So absolutely crucial. You know, I mean, no boy is born an abuser.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong on the journey from boy to man. And true masculinity is a beautiful gift. True masculinity loves, it serves, it honors, it protects, it provides, it never, ever, ever abuses. You know, strength is given as a gift to serve. Power is there for a reason. It's a reason to make people safe and build a safe future. So when we look at the cause of gender-based violence, the vast majority of destructive GBV, I'm talking sexual harassment, sexual rape, physical violence, is perpetrated by men. And it's not in the DNA of men to do this. Something has gone wrong. It's really a wounded masculinity. It's a masculinity that has a false notion of what it means to be a man. So we can heal men and heal their wounds, their emotional and psychological wounds, and we can teach men what true masculinity is. It never, ever uses its strength to harm. It always uses its strength to love and to protect. If we can get that right, we can stop this thing in its track. You know, if it's always been led by women who you know, the kind of man who's an abuser, sadly, is not going to listen to a woman. He's going to listen to brothers who say to him, look, dude, that behavior is not okay. This is how men behave. And as we create platforms for men to speak to other men and share their burdens and share their hearts and actually hold each other accountable as men, we can really begin to start a movement of men behaving well. And the solution to toxic masculinity is healthy masculinity. And that's really the focus of what we do.
Craig, you know, often, you know, I spend some time looking at narratives, particularly on social media, and that's really where you get to sort of see, you know, whether, you know, where we are in terms of toxic masculinity, and then often it rears, you know, its ugly head. And something that I've picked up is that it seems as though there is some kind of a problem in terms of men accepting that gender relations are changing and that there is equality. Women are equal to men. I mean, one of the things that I saw, which was a very interesting tweet by a young man, was something like, you know, a woman can have all these degrees, can have all these accomplishments, but if you don't have a husband, I mean, what is the point? And the point is that women have reached a point in their lives where actually a man is possibly a nice to have. You know, when women have the careers, have their own money, have their own cars, you're not necessarily looking to a husband to provide all of those things. And so I think that might be adding a lot to some of the narratives, the anger that might be coming from men. And I wonder if that's something that, you know, your organization is perhaps also looking at, the fact that men need to understand that things are different to how they were 20, 30, 50 years ago.
Very much so. I think in so many of our narratives and discussion, I mean, you take it into racism, you take it into all kinds of things, we do dehumanizing each other. We're forgetting that we are human beings first, and that men and women are equal. Before I'm a man, before you're a woman, we are human beings.
Yeah.
And we are of equal value, and we deserve equal opportunity. I think one of the challenges with wounded masculinity is then you get the male fragility. A man who's healthy in and of himself can be with a woman who's earning more than him and not be threatened by that in any way. A man who has grown up and, as I said, wounded as a man, he feels inferior, he feels inadequate. He's then easily threatened by a woman. And if you add to that false concepts of masculinity, that the man must always lead, that the man must always be the breadwinner, then you start to get a cocktail which is really problematic.
Yeah.
But when we heal men and when we talk about equality, men and women are different, and the difference is beautiful. But that difference doesn't mean that we are unequal, and shouldn't mean that we're not equal. So these are the discussions that we need to have, with men and with women.
All right, and talk to us about the hashtag No Excuses community center that you recently opened in Alexandra. What are you hoping to achieve then, and why in Alexandra? I mean, look, at the end of the day, these centers would be needed in very many parts of our country, no doubt.
Yeah.
But maybe you can talk to me about why you chose to start in Alexandra in particular.
Well, the hashtag No Excuse movement's been going for 4 years now, and we've been on the ground throughout South Africa, but we've never had a brick and mortar center. And so Alexandra, we've had men on the ground in Alex for many years now, and also Alex, has a notoriety around it. We built the center right next door to the Madala Hostel,
yeah.
which has a history, and it has a reputation of a lot of abuse taking place in that area. So Alex was a natural place for us to start. The center is a beautiful innovation, funded by AB InBev International, Carling Black Label. We've had Plascon Paint come on board to donate paint. Better Bets has donated all the beautiful furniture in the centre. And essentially, it serves two purposes. One is we have lifeline counsellors in the centre who provide counselling services for anyone who has been a victim of GBV. And the other side of the centre is we have constant outreach and training and development programs run by mentors from Alexandra, men who train and equip men and have conversations with men around how do we step up as men, be accountable, hold other men accountable, and promote healthy, positive, strong masculinity that doesn't allow abuse to take place. So it's a preventative thing, and it's also a responsive thing for anyone who has been a victim of GBV.
All right, well, Craig, I wish we had more time, but thanks very much for the work that you're doing and for speaking to us here on SABC News. We certainly do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.